Off the northeastern coast of Australia, beyond where the coral sea turns from turquoise to indigo, lies a world so vast it can be seen from space. A living mosaic of color and motion stretching for more than 2,300 kilometers, longer than the entire coast of Italy. It is the Great Barrier Reef, a labyrinth of coral sand and sea that forms the largest living structure on Earth, and one of the most extraordinary archives of our planet's history. But beneath its beauty lies a deeper story, a story written in limestone, salt, and time. A story that began long before the first coral polyp ever bloomed in the sunlit shallows. Back when Australia itself was still drifting across an ancient ocean. Around 50 million years ago, Australia tore itself free from Antarctica, a fragment of the great southern supercontinent Gondwana. As the landmass drifted northward, it carried with it the continental shelf that would one day cradle the reef. Back then, the region that is now Queensland's coast was drowned beneath a shallow sea. For millions of years, sediments washed in from the interior, sands, sillets, and the eroded bones of mountains long gone, blanketing the seafloor. But in this calm, sunlit basin, something extraordinary began to happen. Tiny marine organisms, coral polyps, began to anchor themselves to the submerged rock and limestone ledges. Layer by layer, skeleton by skeleton, they built the foundations of what would become the Great Barrier Reef. Each coral polyp lives only a few years, but leaves behind a stony skeleton of calcium carbonate. Over millions of lifetimes, these skeletons stack and solidify, creating vast limestone fortresses under the sea. New corals grow atop the old, while waves and currents sculpt the edges into ridges, lagoons, and passes. In a way, the reef is both a cemetery and a cradle, a structure built entirely from death that gives rise to the richest marine life on the planet. Fish, sponges, mollusks, sea snakes, and turtles all thrive here, more than 9,000 species calling this intricate network of coral gardens home. But while the reef lives, it also remembers. Because hidden within its layers lies a geological diary of climate change, sea level rise, and continental drift spanning millions of years. The Great Barrier Reef as we know it is not the first. It is the latest in a chain of ancient reefs that have risen and died many times as the ocean advanced and retreated. During the last ice age, around 20,000 years ago, sea levels were over 120 meters lower than today. The entire reef was exposed to air, its corals bleached and dead, forming a barren limestone plateau. But when the climate warmed and the glaciers melted, the ocean returned. As sea levels rose, new corals colonized the drowned landscape, building upward to keep pace with the encroaching sea. It's this delicate race between coral growth and sea level rise that has repeated itself for over 500,000 years. Layer upon layer, reef upon reef. Each ancient reef now lies buried beneath the modern one, a hidden archive of Earth's changing seas. The reef's complexity isn't accidental. It's geological engineering, perfected by evolution. Coral structures act like underwater mountains, slowing ocean currents and creating pockets of calm water where plankton, the foundation of the food chain, can thrive. These microcurrents feed everything from microscopic zooplankton to whale sharks, the ocean's gentle giants. Even the reef's colors are functional. The coral's partnership with tiny algae called zooxanthellae fuels the ecosystem through photosynthesis. It's a fragile alliance, one that turns deadly when the water grows too warm. For all its size and strength, the Great Barrier Reef is vulnerable. When sea temperatures rise even slightly, the coral-algae partnership breaks down. The corals expel the algae, and the reef turns white, a phenomenon known as coral bleaching. It's not death, not yet. But if the heat lasts too long, the coral starves. Mass bleaching events in 2016, 2017, 2020, and 2022 scarred thousands of square kilometers. Cyclones, pollution, and outbreaks of crown-of-thorns starfish add to the pressure. And yet, the reef endures, not unscathed, but resilient. Some corals adapt, shifting to cooler depths or developing heat-tolerant strains. Others repopulate through larval clouds carried by the tides, rebuilding what was lost. The reef's struggle is a mirror of our planet's, a slow, visible battle between endurance and change. Beneath the living reef lies an unseen world: fossilized reefs, drowned terraces, and ancient river channels carved into the limestone bedrock. Scientists have drilled cores hundreds of meters deep, revealing entire reef systems stacked atop one another, each representing a different sea level and climate epoch. The deepest layers date back more than 600,000 years, offering one of the most detailed records of oceanic history on Earth. They show that even when entire reef systems collapsed, new ones eventually rose in their place. The reef is both a survivor and a witness, a geological storyteller in slow motion. The Great Barrier Reef is not just a marine park or tourist destination. It's a living time machine, spanning deep geological time, yet fragile enough to vanish within a human lifetime. Every ridge of coral, every island, every shimmering lagoon is part of a continuum, from the ancient seas of Gondwana to the modern ocean that laps the Queensland coast. When we look at the reef, we're not just seeing a wonder of nature. We're seeing the Earth's memory, written in coral stone and living color. It reminds us that beauty and fragility often share the same foundation, and that survival, for both reefs and civilizations, depends on balance. The Great Barrier Reef is not eternal, but it has outlasted ice ages, sea level rises, and the slow march of continents. It has been buried and reborn more times than we can count, and as long as the ocean endures, it will continue to write its story in the language of tides and light. I hope you found this journey as fascinating as I did. And, as always, thanks for watching. If you'd like to support more deep dive explorations like this, consider joining my Patreon or becoming a channel member. Until next time, stay curious.